morning, good people. It is Tuesday, November the 2nd, 2021, and this is Wake Up with Ray G, presented by Bets TV. Everybody tapping in for the first time, welcome. Happy you woke up with us. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the Bets TV YouTube channel, subscribe to Jordan's Twitter account, man. My partner in crime, the co-host, the producer of this bad boy, Jay Rich. How you doing this morning, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. We had a fun Monday Night Football game last night. It was, not as entertaining as I hoped for, but it was a close game. Mahomes did his thing, I guess. He didn't hit his over, though, which, do I have anyone else to blame but Travis Kelce? I'm not a biggest film grinder. I haven't dove into the all 22 yet because I just don't got the time for that. I leave that for you and people like you who actually can provide real analysis on the discussion. But Travis Kelce, man, he's been kind of a disappointment, and I don't know why, and I got to figure that out. But I think we're going to talk about that a little bit later today. I believe he only had 27 yards on 4 receptions, 7 targets. That's not good enough if Mahomes is going to go over 300 yards. So Tyreek Hill, though, beast.
Yeah,
but
beast
Travis
mode.
Kelce,
yeah,
woof.
Beast mode. But before that, we got some little NBA news in the introduction. A little NBA news. We got NBA news and some big NFL news that we will get to right after we jump into the morning run.
Wake up! This is the morning run.
Run, Forrest, run!
All right, Jay, so I want you to talk about these NBA odds with 2 Eastern Conference teams in particular, and one team that I think we talked about a little bit last week. I think we touched on them a little bit. They got your favorite player in the league, Alex Caruso, rocking with them. But talk a little bit about the Chicago Bulls and what they were able to pull off last night.
This wasn't even for me. This is for you because I don't know how you became a Bulls fan, but I think that's because I don't know if I know you rock with the Lakers, you rock with the Mavs because you're in Dallas, both Western Conference teams. But if you were to pick an Eastern Conference team, it seems like it'd be the Bulls, and the Bulls overcame a 17-point deficit last night to the Boston Celtics. Boston Celtics only scored 12 points in the fourth quarter and still lost by 14. Talk about woof. They completely blew that game. Tatum and Brown couldn't do nothing. They got shut down. DeMar DeRozan dropped 37. And in a post-game presser, Marcus Smart was like, man, those guys got to pass the ball. If they're not open, they're getting doubled. They got to pass the ball. They can't just keep trying to beat everybody by themselves. This is a team game. This is basketball. You see Golden State, they move the ball, they hit their shots, and they make plays for each other, not for themselves. And so ultimately, we'll see what happens. But the Bulls, your team, 6-1 right now. We talked about when they were, I think, 4-0 at the top of the East, and they hadn't beat anybody notable. Now they're 6-1, still at the top of the East. They're 55-1 to win the NBA title. I don't know about that. 22-1 to win the East. And then the Miami Heat, who I said are kind of my dark horses for NBA champions, or at least Eastern Conference champions, are 18-1 to win the East, or 18-1 to win the title, and 8.5-1 to win the East, and are currently 5-1, 1 game behind your Chicago Bulls. So our teams are doing pretty good so far. I'm pretty happy with that. But yeah, Alex Caruso balling off the bench. Love to see it.
Yeah, that's your boy, man. Alex Caruso balling. Shout out to the Bulls. But Jay, I'm not feeling well today, man. I am hurting. My football energy is zapped because the King went down. The King, he actually went down and got back up and finished the game. But Derrick Henry, and we've now had probably close to like 20 hours of discussion about what this means for Tennessee, what this means for Derrick Henry. How do we value the Titans rest of the season as a team? What do we do with Ryan Tannehill, A.J. Brown, the running back position? Well, we do know a little bit of what Tennessee's going to do with the running back position because they ended up signing Adrian Peterson, AP, all day after Derrick Henry suffered that Jones fracture injury in his 5th metatarsal, correct? Am I right? Is Dr. Garvin getting that right? His 5th
I believe so, yeah.
It looked like it was like his pinky toe, but like kind of like, up where the toe and the part of the foot start to come together. I don't know the medical term for that. But Adrian Peterson, the ageless wonder, is back in the NFL. The sure first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the best running backs in NFL history. Hey, man, kudos to AP, man. When you stay ready, there's a saying, when you stay ready, you don't got to get ready. And Adrian Peterson has obviously clearly kept his body in tip-top shape, and the fact that he's even able to go out here and perform on the field. How old is AP? What's AP, like 34, 35 years old?
I
Look
don't
up
know how
Adrian.
old he is, but we were talking about his 04 season yesterday.
Yeah, we were talking about how he should have won the Heisman in 2004, and he's still playing, and it's he'll be playing into 2022.
He's 36.
He's 36 years old, man. 36 years
Yeah, he's
old, Adrian
36.
Peterson. I knew he was like 35, 30, because if he played in 04, his freshman season, that's like my final year of high school. So I'm 35, so I knew AP had to be around that range. What are your, I mean, the Derrick Henry conundrum, it's crazy because this big, imposing physical presence that's been indestructible up to this point in his career. Like Derrick Henry, I think up to this point had missed like 2 career games due to injury. 2. Just never been hurt, always been able to play through. You've never even seen him banged up at all. Like when's the last time you've seen trainers around Derrick Henry and then it's a pinky toe that takes him out? You know what I mean? Like it's the craziest thing ever when you think about who Derrick Henry is and the type of game that he has. And I'm seeing all sorts of conversation on both ends of the pendulum. It's over. It's a wrap. Derrick Henry, get rid of him if you have him in fantasy. He'll be a 28-year-old running back coming off of a foot injury. But on the other side of that coin, I mean, we're seeing players. I just am one that I don't think this is some career-ending injury for Derrick Henry. They're already saying, the Tennessee Titans are saying that he could be back later. This is not going to end, like it's going to end his regular season. But Tennessee right now is, second in the AFC? They sit atop the AFC, I believe, standings. They're first in the AFC. Yeah, they sit atop of the AFC. A lot of people seem to think that the running back position doesn't matter as much as, quarterback and wide receiver. I'd say probably true in most cases. But when you see the production that Derrick Henry has had over the past couple of years, it's hard to argue that he's not the most important piece to Tennessee. Now, maybe Tennessee's team evolves and they take a new form, which is get the ball to A.J. Brown, get the ball out of Ryan Tannehill's hands quickly. But to say that he hasn't been the most important part of that offense over the past 2-3 years, I just think that's kind of prisoner of the moment sort of take right there. He's absolutely been he's been the straw that stirs that Tennessee drink for the past couple of seasons. Now, that doesn't mean, just by saying that doesn't mean Tennessee is going to go to hell and it's all over for them. But to diminish the presence and the effect that Derrick Henry has had on that team, I think that's a bit short-sighted. Just my opinion. There is no replacement. I don't care if it's Adrian Peterson, Jeremy McNichols, Mekhi Sargent, Darrington Evans. There is no one-for-one replacement for somebody like Derrick Henry, and I am of the firm belief that we're just going to see a heavy platoon at the running back position. Whoever's got the hot hand, down and distance, situation, are they in a 2-minute drill? Derrick Henry was already coming off of the field in those 2-minute situations for Jeremy McNichols, so his role doesn't change. I don't think, whether it's AP, the expectations for him should be very low. I wouldn't spend a ton of fab on him. I wouldn't trade anything for him. If you're able to pick him up off of waivers, great. But I wouldn't give up one lick of draft capital in a dynasty league for him. A 4th-round pick, a 3rd-round pick, I wouldn't do it. 36-year-old running back who hasn't played football in, a year and a half, couple of years? I don't know. He looked like he didn't have a lot left, even after his Washington stint, his time in Detroit. That's just my take on it. Henry's not done, man. The move that I would be making is trying to trade for Derrick Henry from fantasy managers who think he's done, and then we'll accept a 2nd-round pick for him or something like that. But what are your thoughts overall on the situation in Tennessee, Derrick Henry's outlook long-term? I haven't really given any thought or opinion about it the entire time. I'll tell you this, dude. Watching the football game on Twitter last night was probably, I keep saying it, it was such an unenjoyable experience. It's like you have to mute the game. Like, you don't want to even watch it because it's just unenjoyable. Like, I almost want to scrub my Twitter account of all fantasy accounts and follow random stuff like cooking pages, home interior design, just to see something else. Am I the only person that feels that way? Like, I guess I'm just getting sick and tired of looking at just football takes all day. I don't know, man. I'm ranting. about something that has nothing to do with the question I just asked you. But to answer the question, what do you think about Derrick Henry in the situation in Tennessee?
It's interesting, man, because like as you're talking, the first thing I thought of, like, well, the one thing I haven't looked up in regards to the situation is what are the chances the Colts win the division? And they're 10-1 right now, which is still pretty long shot odds. I don't know if they're good odds per se, because they're still like 3 games back. But there's one thing, like you said, Derrick Henry is that entire offense. Whether he's producing or not, he is everything to that offense. If you don't stop, if you don't load the box, you're not going to stop the Titans. And that's what frees up A.J. Brown. That's what frees up Julio Jones. That's what frees up whoever the hell is running routes on the back end. That's ultimately what the Tennessee offense is. So what are they now? If Adrian Peterson doesn't play well, if he's not really a threat on the ground, how do they win? Because then you can sit back in coverage. You can play even a cover 2 against A.J. Brown if you want to, because there's no real threat on the ground. So how does that affect Tannehill? Because Tannehill, same idea. When he didn't really have a running game, he didn't play very well. And so now it's kind of like, what do we expect from Ryan Tannehill? What do you expect from A.J. Brown? I still think A.J. Brown can get it done. I'm not too worried about him. But that doesn't mean the Titans are going to easily win games. Doesn't mean they're going to put up a ton of points like they're used to doing, because that 30% play action they've been running, it's not going to be as effective anymore. People aren't going to be selling out to stop Derrick Henry on 3rd and 1, and they get a 20, 30, 40-yard gain off of that because they run play action. So for context, though, people need to understand, like, Derrick Henry has 220 carries this season. He's got 937 yards. He has 10 touchdowns. That is an entire season for Alvin Kamara that he did in 8 games. Whatever you want to expect from Alvin Kamara on the ground, Derrick Henry did that in 8 games. And then for more context on top of that, not only is he just blowing everyone away in every statistical category, if you took the next highest player in carries, yards, and touchdowns, he would have 137 carries, which is Joe Mixon. He'd have 649 yards, which is Jonathan Taylor, and 8 touchdowns, which is James Conner. So it doesn't matter who you take across the league, any player, second best in any category, Derrick Henry's still blowing them out of the water. That's how important he is to this offense, and you just can't replace that. Now, what does that mean for Tennessee? I think they're probably only going to win 10 games this season. I think they'd be lucky if they won 10, because they still got another 9 games to go, and they don't have Derrick Henry for any of those games, but it's going to come down to AP, and that defense hasn't been playing that well. They've been giving up a lot of points, and I think now it's going to be even harder for them to score. So we'll see what happens. They've won some big games this year, but those big games are a lot easier to win with Derrick Henry than without him. And some of those games he won for them on top of that. So I don't know, man, but A.J. Brown's going to have to step up. Julio has to get healthy, and we have to hope that AP is good, or they're going to be in big trouble.
Well, their upcoming schedule, let's go down the list. They've got the Rams on November the 7th, so that's a Sunday night game. They've got the Rams this Sunday.
Hell no.
They've got the Saints after that, so the Rams, the Saints. Those are probably two difficult games. Then they've got Houston, so they should win the Houston matchup. Excuse me. Then New England. Then they have a bye week. Jacksonville should be another dub. Maybe. I mean, didn't Jacksonville beat them earlier, right? Didn't Jacksonville beat them?
No, it was the Jets.
That was the Jets. Okay, that was the Jets. Pittsburgh, San Francisco, Miami, and then they finished the season with Houston. So I see for sure 1, 2, 3, 4. I see 4 for sure wins. Miami, Houston doubling up, Jacksonville. And then we'll see. New England, Pittsburgh, San Francisco, New Orleans, Los Angeles. Man, that's all we have left, bro. The football season.
That's good defenses, man. That's some good defenses.
Just overall, the football season we're halfway done with this thing. We're halfway done. It's flying by, man. That's why I'm like appreciating every little ounce of football that we have, because those summer months, man, are just brutal when we have no football and we're just arguing over rookies the entire offseason. It's just brutal, man. Brutal.
You got the timeline. You talking about the timeline. People just firing off takes. This guy's wide receiver one. That guy's running back one. Exhausting.
So, I'm with you, man. I think this is a big loss for Tennessee. And as much as the running backs doesn't matter crowds say that Derrick Henry wasn't the big part, wasn't the focal point of this offense, wasn't the most important piece, I respectfully disagree. But let's talk about another player that was moved and relocated teams. Von Miller. Von Miller was traded from the Denver Broncos to the Los Angeles Rams for 2 picks. The Rams could care less about draft picks. They literally do not care about draft picks. They traded. I saw a tweet that next year their first pick doesn't come until the 5th round of 2022. Part of me admires them for what they're doing. Like they're truly going all in to win. Like, we've got a window. Stafford's up there, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods. Let's go for it. Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey. This is what you have to do. I mean, this, in my opinion, to build a long-term dynasty the way that the New England Patriots were able to do, that's not easy, man. In my opinion, that is very, very difficult to do. Almost virtually impossible. I don't know if we'll see a stretch of 18-year dominance that the New England Patriots had. That just doesn't happen. As close as we thought the Kansas City Chiefs were to a dynasty, look how quickly that dissipated. We thought the Seattle Seahawks were approaching dynasty status when they reached the Super Bowl, 2 out of 3 years, back-to-back years. That went away. The Dallas Cowboys in the early 90s with those 3 Super Bowl wins, that dissipated. So to build this long-term New England-type infrastructure where you literally can win the Super Bowl or at least push for playoff contention every single year, I don't know if we'll see that again in our lifetimes, man. So in the NFL, you've got a 2 to 3 year window. If you've got a good team, based on how contracts are structured and based on the nature of the game, how physical, how violent, how many injuries take place, you've got a small window in which to win. This is not dynasty fantasy football. In dynasty fantasy football, you're trying to build a team that can win now and acquire all these draft picks so you can get players and create a dynasty for long-term success. The difference is you're only starting 10 players in fantasy football, 11 players in fantasy football. In the NFL, you have to start 11 on both sides of the ball, and those 11 players want to get paid. So what the Rams are doing, in my opinion, they know what they're doing. They're saying we've got a window, 2 to 3 years to win Super Bowls, and then after that, we're going to suck, and we're going to rebuild. That's what they're basically admitting that, and I think that's the right way to do it. Like, everyone's like, oh my God, in a couple of years, they're going to be in trouble. In a couple of years, who cares? If they walk away with 2 Super Bowls over the next couple of years, they will not care. They will gladly accept the tank, do the rebuild the right way, and then go for it again. I admire Les Snead and what the Rams are doing. If you can tell me right now that I can go watch my Dallas Cowboys win 2-3 Super Bowls over the next 4 or 5 years, and then we're going to suck for 4 and just rebuild that thing, I'm fine with that. I am fine with that, and I'm sure the players who win 2 to 3 Super Bowls would feel the same way. But adding Von Miller to this team that consists of Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, the offense that's going to give you 30, 35 points per game, I love it. I am all in. Players over picks any day of the week, especially when you have a team that can push for the Super Bowl. And we talked about how good we thought Dallas was. I still think Dallas is right there. I'm still sitting there with Dallas as the second best team in the NFC right now. I'm not going to anoint us as the top team, but I love the moves the Rams are making to go all in to win a chip, man. It sounded like you were on the fence about that. What are your thoughts?
So I'm glad you said what you said about them winning, but the question always comes back to what if they don't? Like, what if they don't win?
Nothing in life is guaranteed, man. You can't live nothing. This is
for sure.
This is all I'm gonna say to that. Nothing in life is guaranteed. All you can do is put yourself, i.e., yourself, your team, in the best situation to be successful, and that's all you can ask for. You're right. They can go trade for the world, and there's no guarantee. I mean, different sport, but we saw the Miami Heat lose their first year after developing that super team of Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, and LeBron James to the Dallas Mavericks, a team who many people thought was much inferior to that Miami Heat team. It took them a while to get it together, but what they did was they put their team in position to get 2 out of 4 while LeBron was in Miami. So I get it, different sport, but all you can ask for are the Rams are making moves to put their team in position to win.
Yeah, for sure. I can agree with that a little bit. It's just I think for me it's that it's very rare you see these things kind of work out in the NFL. I can't even think of a case where it really did. And it kind of just reminds me of the Cardinals right now. Like the Cardinals brought in JJ Watt and ultimately he ended up getting hurt, but we even talked about it. I never really saw him as much of a needle mover. I'm sure, every now and then he will do something that you're like, "Oh yeah, JJ Watt's back." And I hope that they get what they want out of Von Miller. But trading a second and third round pick for Von Miller is a lot. Now, I do think Von Miller's a great player, but I don't know if he makes them that much better. Like you said, you have the Cowboys as a clear number 2. I still think that there's a chance that I would still put the Cowboys ahead of the Rams. I told you yesterday that I think the Cowboys are better than the Rams. I think they're a more complete team because I think that Dak Prescott's a better quarterback than Matthew Stafford. And I think that's what it comes down to for me personally. The defenses, of course, there's a big gap, talent, star, skill player-wise, or so it seems, but the Dallas Cowboys defense is playing pretty well, and I believe more in the Cowboys offense. So for me, it doesn't move the needle all that much. And then so for people who don't know, the Rams give up a second, third round pick, and they don't have to pay any of his salary, basically.
Nope.
The Denver Broncos are paying $9 million of it, so they're only paying like $700,000 the rest of the year. But the Denver Broncos only would have got a fifth round pick and compensatory if he left. So the Rams did pay a lot to get him. I don't know if there's a big market for Miller or not, but they did pay a lot to get him. Compared to, what the market dictated that Miller was worth. So we'll see. I definitely appreciate going all in, but part of me is like, is this the right move? Is this the final piece that they need? I don't know if it is.
Well, what else did they really need? I mean, he's got 4.5 sacks in the season, man, and he's got a lot of quarterback pressures and a lot of quarterback hits. And regardless of what you think about Von Miller, he's not the Von Miller of 4 years ago, right? He's 32 years old. He's not that Von Miller, but you have to account for him off the edge. And they were missing that edge presence. Now, you combine him with Aaron Donald on that defensive line, especially in pass rushing situations, that is problematic. That is problematic for all offenses. He's still a very capable pass rusher. Again, 4.5 sacks on the season. It's costing you
It reminds me when they brought in. Remember when they traded for Dante Fowler? It reminds me of that because remember they did that. I was looking up. They did that in 2018.
Except Von Miller is infinitely better than Dante Fowler.
Yeah, he's better. But I'm just saying, it reminds me of the same situation, right? They needed that edge presence, and
much better than Fowler. You said something that I want to touch on. You said you don't know if he was worth that. My question to you. And I get they play different sides of the ball, but just player value-wise, would you rather spend a second-round pick on Von Miller or a second-round pick on Sam Darnold?
Well, I mean, that's the positional value difference.
I
understand
get
it from that perspective, but I get what you're saying, but it's a different circumstance because like you don't have to trade a second-round pick to get, or apparently you do to get Von Miller. But you got to trade a lot to get a quarterback if that's what you want, and it's for a full season too. So you're taking into account you're getting, even though Sam Darnold's terrible. Like
okay,
I'm not trying to defend Sam Darnold,
Teddy Bridgewater for a fifth or Sam Darnold for a second. You're saying you have to trade a lot for a quarterback, but my point is when your window is there and you don't have a lot, they have no glaring needs on offense. They're fine at running back. They don't need receivers. They put one on injured reserve and they're trading Deshaun Jackson. They don't need receiver help. The offensive line is still holding up admirably. Outside of linebacker and pass rush help, I don't really know what else the Rams needed. They're already as is a strong contender to win the Super Bowl. You add an edge rusher, even if Von Miller comes in and he gives you 5 sacks for the rest of the season, ends up with 9.5 sacks. It's the presence, it's the pressure, it's the versatility. And he's actually really, really good against the run. I think this was a great move for the Los Angeles Rams, and I'm all in on teams going all in within their window to make it happen, man. I think that's how you have to do it. You have to capitalize when the opportunity presents itself, and for the Los Angeles Rams, the opportunity is there for them to win a Super Bowl. Now, we did have a game last night. The Kansas City Chiefs took down the football Giants. The Giants, what was the final score of that game? Was it 27 to 24, right?
No, 20-17.
20-17? That was 20-7. I don't know why I was thinking 27-24. I know it was a 3-point win. Just ugly all the way around. I mean, we joked about it going into it, 2 bad teams playing. Jay, it looked like 2 bad teams playing football. Everyone keeps saying the Chiefs look off. The Chiefs look off. The Chiefs look off. The Chiefs look bad. They're not good. They have great players. They're not a good football team. They have great players right now. They're not playing like a complete football team at all. From Patrick Mahomes to the defense to the offensive line. They spent all this money on the offensive line, and Orlando Brown was getting worked by Azeez Ojulari last night. Worked. Every time 51 lined up against Orlando Brown, it was a problem. Patrick Mahomes, the most talented quarterback in the NFL. Probably, at times, he has the worst mechanics of any quarterback in the NFL. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago because he's had this ability to get away with doing stuff. The interception he threw at the beginning of the game, he's got Travis Kelce. But you could see there was a play they paused it. Kelce was wide open in the end zone. Mahomes would have ripped that ball. Like, he's not trusting what he's seeing. He's not trusting his reads. His footwork in the pocket is atrocious. The downfield, it's like he's frustrated that the downfield shots aren't there. It was good to see him take what was good underneath. For being honest, Mahomes managed that game last night. He game managed the hell out of that one, and that's something you don't see from Mahomes a lot. Kelce, this was the first time. I'm watching that game last night. You talked about Travis Kelce a little bit at the beginning. It was the first time in years where I was like, damn, Kelce looks like an old tight end. You know what I'm saying? He couldn't separate. He was dropping passes. They weren't connecting. He looked all of, what's Kelce, 31, 32? He looked like a tight end that hadn't missed a game in 8 years, and he hasn't.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Even that win was not impressive. And if the Giants had any competency on the offensive side of the ball, kneeling it at their 42 going into halftime, Daniel Jones just continues to just play bad football. They're rolling out Devontae Booker. Sterling Shepard is hurt, and they lost by 3 points in Kansas City with the ball with over a minute left in the game to drive down the field to kick a field goal. And the Giants, they couldn't even gain a damn yard. They're just bad. They always talk about any win is a good win. This win does not instill confidence in what I believe these Kansas City Chiefs are going to do in the long run. When you're looking at the AFC, they're not better than Buffalo. They're not. Are they better than Pittsburgh at this point in time? Do you have more confidence in Kansas City or Pittsburgh? Are they better than? It's a pick 'em, right? They just don't look good. Now, Tyreek Hill did his thing. Tyreek Hill balled out, 18 targets. But this is interesting. If I told you going into the game, Tyreek Hill was going to have 18 targets, he was going to catch 12 passes, and he was going to score a touchdown, I'm pretty sure you would bet the mortgage that he had over 100 yards, right? If we were just 94 yards, because it was all underneath. They literally just ran shell coverage and said, you're not going to throw deep. You are not going to throw deep on us. And they couldn't do it. I think their longest pass of the night came on a touch pass in the backfield to McCole Hardman for 20-something yards, 31 yards.
24 yards,
24 yards. The longest pass last night. Jay, help me. I don't want to be overly critical, but Patrick Mahomes right now, he's playing like the fourth best.
Can we have a tough conversation? Can we have a tough conversation right now?
Yeah,
what's up? Tough conversation.
What's up?
The more and more I watch Patrick Mahomes, I'm like, what is the difference between him and Carson Wentz? Is he just a better Carson Wentz?
Boy. No.
I don't want to
Stop.
Okay, no.
Don't go there.
Because
I can't let you go there.
Carson Wentz does some really stupid stuff, really, really stupid. But Patrick Mahomes does some pretty stupid things, some things he shouldn't do that he keeps getting away with. And to be fair to Carson Wentz, he had an MVP season. He did. Whether he got the MVP or not, different story because he got hurt. But he had an MVP season. Everyone said the problem with Carson Wentz is that he throws into too tight windows. This cannot last over the long term. Now, Patrick Mahomes is infinitely more talented than Carson Wentz. He's way smarter, much better thrower of the football. But every time I watch Carson Wentz now, and every time I watch Patrick Mahomes, I'm like, I think they're a little bit more similar than I'm willing to admit. Like Patrick Mahomes makes a lot of risky throws, and he's been doing it for years, but he keeps getting away with it. But now it's starting to bite him. He's leading the league in interceptions. He's got more than Trevor Lawrence. He's got more than Zach Wilson. He's got more than Justin Fields. That's a problem, and that's a problem that's not going away. And you know who led the league in interceptions last year, right? It was your boy Carson Wentz. And so, as good as the Chiefs are, and to be fair to Mahomes,
they're not good. They're not good, though. They're not good,
I'm saying,
though.
But like
they're not
talent,
good.
they have the talent, all these things, and honestly, Sorensen is just god awful. If I could rate a worst player in the league, it'd be Daniel Sorensen.
He's bad. He's not good. Every time I see number 49 out there, he's just not good. Like we keep saying, they've got the talent. Who? Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. Who else?
Who ain't doing nothing?
Who else? Like, who else?
They don't have anybody else, really.
Where's all the talent at on this team? Where is all the talent? Okay, defensive side of the ball, Tyrann Mathieu is a Hall of Fame player, right? Chris Jones is fantastic.
But
Chris Jones is fantastic.
It's power. It's not talent. That's the problem. Like, they have a bunch of stars that accumulate to nothing.
Jay, that's what I'm saying. Everyone keeps saying the Chiefs have so much talent. They don't. They have Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. That's what they have offensively. That is it. There is no wide receiver 2 or 3 or 4 of consequence. There is no running back of consequence. I know everybody's going to run out and be like, oh my God, Derek Gore. Stop it. Darrell Williams is terrible. Derek Gore is not good. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I mean, we make jokes about it. Hell, they might miss him. They literally might need him to come back. Over Patrick Mahomes' last 6 games, how many 300-yard passing games do you think he has over the last 6?
I'm going to say 1. I want to say 0, but I'm going to say 1.
1 over the last 6 games. Like under the over is not working well with Patrick Mahomes. I don't see, where's the talent, man? They got away with bombs, like just bombing it deep for 2 years. NFL, they just couldn't figure it out, right? They didn't know what to do with Kansas City. They had no clue. Now they're just saying, what defenses are saying, you can't run on us. We know that. You don't want to run the ball, and we're not going to let you throw deep. Like, that's it. We will not let you throw deep. Tyreek Hill is not going to beat us down the field. We're going to keep everything in front of us and force Patrick Mahomes to go through his progressions, to work on different receivers, and he hasn't been able to do it. He's not playing good football right now, man. He game managed that thing last night. Again, if I told you Patrick Mahomes was going to throw the ball damn near 50 times and complete almost 30 passes and give you a chance to your mortgage once again, with those 50 pass attempts and 30 completions, did he go over 300 yards? Everybody would say, yes, he did, easily. He game managed that thing versus the Giants at home. If I were a fan of Kansas City, I would be looking towards the draft and just thinking, okay, who can we get next year to help this team out? And honestly, I don't know where to start. I don't know they invested a lot of money in the offensive line. They better find their window is the one. Kelce ain't getting any younger. Tyreek isn't getting any younger. They better figure it out real quick, or else, man. Or else they're going to be a wild card team in the AFC with all this talent. And a lot of people don't want to have that conversation, but that's where we're at, man. That is where we're at right now. Now, I will say, on the flip side, Dynasty fantasy football managers, I would be sending out offers for Patrick Mahomes. His poor play has provided a window to acquire, whereas in the past you couldn't. He was unobtainable. He cost you $1 million draft picks to get. There are league mates out there right now panicked on Patrick Mahomes, and I would take advantage on it. But go ahead. And are we being too hard on the Chiefs? Because I just don't think they're very good. I don't think this team is very good. I don't think they could beat Buffalo. I don't know if they could beat the Baltimore Ravens. Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, I don't
even
know.
the healthy Browns, I think, have a really good shot. Like
I'm not going to go. The Browns, I'm not going to go there.
I'm not going to say the Browns are a great team, but you got to remember the Browns played them 29-24 week 1.
Look what Tennessee did to him. Like, this is not an accident. This is not just a case of Kansas City having an off night. You don't have an off night struggling versus the Browns, struggling versus the Giants, losing to the Titans. These aren't off nights. You're bad. Yeah. This is a bad football team, man.
Yeah, it sucks, man, because the thing with the Chiefs, and you look back to their 2020 draft, and they were so confident coming off the championship. They were like, man, we got a complete roster. And so the crazy thing for me is, like, yeah, the Rams are going all in. They haven't won yet. And the Chiefs, good for them, I guess. They were feeling themselves coming off a championship. But they drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and they still needed defense. They did. They needed defense, and they said, nah,
it was an egregious pick. It was an egregious pick.
Who cares? We don't need defense. We need a running back. We need more offense. And it's butting them in the ass still to this day. It really is, because there's plenty of talented players. Like we talked about, Trayvon Diggs was in that draft class. He could have been their next Marcus Peters, right?
Man,
easily.
Listen to the second round. The second round of 2020. The players who were taken in the second round. Like, I'm just going to say, these are the 3 players immediately drafted after Clyde Edwards-Helaire. T. Higgins, Michael Pittman Jr., and DeAndre Swift were the 3 players immediately drafted after Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Also, later down in that second round, Jonathan Taylor, Laviska Shenault, Cole Kmet, Antoine Winfield Jr., Chase Claypool, Jalen Johnson, the cornerback for the Chicago Bears, Trayvon Diggs, Cam Akers, J.K. Dobbins, Van Jefferson, A.J. Dillon, and they did get one right in the second round. He balled out last night. Willie Gay, the linebacker, and then the last pick of the second round of the 2020 NFL Draft, Jeremy Chin. So they literally could have just threw a dart. Jeremy Chin makes that team better. Willie Gay, good thing they got Willie Gay, but they could have went T. Higgins, Michael Pittman Jr., DeAndre Swift immediately after Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Maybe they were picking a little bit later. You got Laviska Shenault, Cole Kmet, Antoine Winfield Jr., Chase Claypool, Jalen Johnson, Trayvon Diggs, Cam Akers, J.K. Dobbins. You don't draft the running back round 1. Like, I am a firm believer at this point. I don't care. It's just not a wise decision to do that. And it's been downhill ever since for Kansas City. But, I was thinking about it last night, but I didn't want to tweet it out because it's easier for me to verbally articulate my thoughts than 100, 240 characters. I just think the Chiefs are bad, man. They're a bad football team right now. And to me, that was a bad win. No win is bad, but it didn't look good. Didn't look good. On the other side of the ball, we didn't even talk about the Giants. I mean...
The Giants stink, man. There's nothing else to say. They stink. They had every chance to win this game, and they just didn't. That's what it comes down to. Daniel Jones is just – he's not it. And so my question to you, talking about the Giants, is who do you want to see in New York? Which quarterback from the 2022 class do you want to see in New York? Do you think they take a quarterback, or do they maybe hold on to Daniel Jones for one more year? Kind of what are your thoughts on that situation? Because they should have probably maybe top 10 pick. Because I don't know if they have any more. I think they have another pick as well from when they traded down. So I think they may have one more. They may have 2 first-round picks. But who do you want to see in New York for Big Blue Nation next year?
They cannot go into next season with Daniel Jones. Like, they cannot. I mean, they can go into next season with him, but they better have a succession plan in place. He's not the answer, man. He's not the answer. He looks aloof. He seems lost. He's not confident. He turns the ball over at a ridiculous clip. You can't win football games turning the ball over at the rate that Daniel Jones turns the ball over. Have you seen the guy on Twitter that does the coaching? Have you seen him yet? Have you seen
I've seen him now. Yeah, he's funny, man. He's real funny.
He says it all the time. Daniel Jones is afraid of the moment. The game's too big. He pisses down his leg. Like that's Daniel Jones, man. I never understood why he was drafted where he was in that draft class. What did he go, number 6 overall? He's bad. Jason Garrett is bad. Dave Gettleman is bad. The entire Giants franchise is an embarrassment to the rest of the NFL. They are a terrible team who will waste Saquon Barkley's prime years. Love Saquon Barkley. I am very concerned.
He's got to get out of there. He's got to get out.
I'm very concerned for Saquon Barkley in Dynasty Fantasy Football as long as he's a member of this team. Kadarius Toney, he's the best player that they have, but he's turning into the Dalvin Cook of the wide receiver positions. First, he's not playing. I was so pissed off. Pre-game, he's talking to Randy Moss, so I'm thinking Kadarius Toney's going to go out there and just blah. I'm like, oh, my God, he's talking to the GOAT. Randy Moss is hyping him up, pointing in his face, hyping him up. I'm like, Kadarius Toney, 200 yards, locked in. And then he wasn't on the field for like the first 3 series of the game. I'm like, yeah. And they're talking about his ankle. Then he comes in there. He's juking people out. Then he doesn't touch the ball anymore. He's throwing passes. He doesn't touch the ball. He's hurt every other play. He's on the sideline, and then he comes back in. This is just a bad team. To answer your question, which quarterback would I like to see there? None. I mean, I don't think that would be a good situation. Not with the current coaching regime that's in place. None. What's going to be the difference? If Sam Howell's there, how's that any different? He's just going to turn the damn ball over too. The team is bad. The team is bad. The team is bad. They need a new coach. They need new direction. The team is bad. These are two bad teams. What?
Which coach would you put there? Who do you think would be a good candidate to go head over to New York? Because the problem with New York is a big market, man. The media. I will not speak it into existence. There's a coach that I really like that I think would be a great fit. Oh, come on!
But I will not speak it into existence. I will not say it. I'm not going to say any names. There's a coach that I'm very fond of that I think is probably going to be on the top of most NFL teams' radar to be their head coach. The development of his quarterback, the play calling, the things that he does well, the fact that at one point in the game, I will not mention what game it was, but he had their star running back lined up in a diamond formation with 2 offensive linemen in front of him. Literally, one big offensive lineman at one split fullback position, another offensive lineman at the other. He had 7 offensive linemen on the field at one time, running counters in traps for the running back. Just incredible play caller. But I think he'd be a great fit. Don't want to see it happen. Will not mention name or said players. Will not mention their names at all because we will not put that into the universe. But Jason Garrett, at one point in time, he ran 2 straight dives and then tried to screen the Devontae Booker that was stuffed. Jason Garrett special. The Jason Garrett special. 2 slams up the middle. And then maybe, since we established the run for -6 yards, maybe they'll fall for the screen. No, it's just a bad team, man. Bad team. So I don't even know. The fact that I've talked about them for this long, it makes me absolutely sick. 2 terrible teams playing last night. Where are we at on the show sheet? I don't even know. What are we talking about right now? Where are we going to now?
So you wanted to talk about some midseason thoughts, right? So we obviously got a lot of thoughts. We were really venting this morning. But you want to talk about some midseason thoughts, players, prop bets that we've been hammering week after week, and just having a quick discussion with the people. One of the big ones I wanted to bring up to you, we already talked about it, was Mahomes interceptions. I don't know if I actually got it on the show, but it was in the show sheet yesterday. Mahomes was plus 135 to throw 1 interception last night. And he's thrown 1 almost every game. He's got 10 on the season. He's leading the league, and he's plus money. To me, if Mahomes is plus money, I think you got to take a shot. Like I talked about Carson Wentz at plus money. You got to take a shot on that. He threw 2 picks this week. Mahomes, again, plus 135. He had better odds than Carson Wentz, which, it makes sense. But still, plus 135 for a player who's already thrown 9 picks. And he had another one that was turned back on penalty yesterday. He should have thrown 2 picks. Yeah. So to me, it's like if you're a bettor and you think, Mahomes, he might get right eventually. But if he's playing a good team where he's going to have to throw the ball a lot, bet him to throw a pick because he keeps doing it. Like he keeps doing it. And I don't know why it's going to stop. He has to keep throwing. And the other guy I want to talk about is DeAndre Swift. Yeah, DeAndre Swift is leading the lead in run after the catch. Leading all of the NFL in run after the catch. Running backs are crazy. Like these running back stats are stupid because he has more yards after the catch than he has total receiving yards. Again, he's catching the ball in the backfield a lot, so that makes sense. But it's just wild to see something like that. Like he's got more than Deebo Samuel, who had like 80 in one play against the Bears this week. He's got more than Cooper Kupp. And then, so that's one of the stats I've just been, we talk about all the time, how hammering those over receiving yards for DeAndre Swift. I'm going to keep doing it, man. A guy who's leading the league in yards after the catch, I got to keep going that well. I just have to. And then the other guy I wanted to touch on was Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill, we know as a yardage and a deep threat. So for me, it's like, I always go after the yards. And last night I told you guys, go after the yards with Tyreek Hill because Tyreek Hill is a dope deep threat. And again, the deep targets all supported that data. And Giants said, nope, we're not doing that. We're taking it away. But what I didn't know is just how many targets and receptions Tyreek Hill's been getting this season. I know that he's a heavily targeted receiver, but there's Cooper Kupp out there. There's Jamar Chase out there who's getting tons of targets. Chris Godwin gets tons of targets. So we'll see kind of what happens, but he's leading the league in targets and in receptions, not in yards, but in targets and receptions. Tyreek Hill is king right now. He had 18 targets yesterday, 12 receptions, but I did not expect to see that when I woke up this morning. Him, 12 receptions, 18 targets, leading the league in both categories, more than Cooper Kupp in receptions and tied for him in targets.
Yeah, the thing that I want to talk about, we're just kind of just having some banter here is DeAndre Swift, because I'm seeing a lot of people proclaim him as the best running back in the league, the dynasty RB1. He's been putrid on the ground, like running the ball. He's been god awful, and I don't know who I was listening to, but they were talking about advanced rushing stats, and he's like one of the most inefficient runners in the NFL. Right now, the wise bet is to bet his under rushing yards every week. And this was one week where I thought he could actually exploit Philadelphia at home. Philadelphia is not very good against the run. They're really good against the pass. And he had 20-something rushing yards, averaging 2 yards a carry. I mean, it literally, he is being saved by, like, he's a glorified satellite back at this point. He's what Austin Eckler was 3 years ago when Melvin Gordon was still there. I don't know, man. And my question is, because I really don't know, is it the offensive line that's so bad? I know they lost. I think it was Frank Ragnow, which is a big loss. But is the offensive line that bad, or is Swift really that bad between the tackles, man? Because, again, he's doing it through the air, which is saving it. But if he didn't have that, he would be useless right now in fantasy football. Useless, because 90 carries, 289 yards on the ground. I mean, literally, Derrick Henry almost had 289 yards in a single game this year. I mean, that's a game and a half for Derrick Henry. And I'm not comparing the players because they're different. DeAndre Swift does a lot of his damage in the receiving game. But are you at all concerned about DeAndre Swift, man? Just real, like, at all?
I'm not. And the main reason why is because I just think that in the long term, we're going to see what DeAndre Swift can really be. I'm not going to judge him too much on a team that I already view as probably the worst in the NFL. It's between them and Houston. One of them is the worst in the NFL. Which one it is, I don't know. I don't care. But that offensive line needs to be improved. And the other big thing is that Jared Goff is not a passing threat. So if you're a defense, you say, you know what, Jamal Williams is pretty good, capable running back. DeAndre Swift is a very talented running back, maybe not the best runner of the football, but he can catch passes out of the backfield. So if you're playing defense, maybe you just run single high man coverage and you bring a lot of guys down and you force Goff to beat you, because we know that he can't. He's shown that for years. Matthew Stafford has already thrown for more touchdown passes this season than Goff threw all of last year. So that tells you a lot about what teams think of Jared Goff, and I think that tells a lot about what DeAndre Swift could or couldn't be with a not so great offensive line that's improving, with a quarterback who can't help, who isn't helping him out in that respect. I think that poses a lot of threats. And I look at it like this. If Alvin Kamara didn't play on the Saints, how good would he be? He's a great tackle breaker, but he's still only averaging like 3.5 yards per carry. And the Saints have probably a top 5 offensive line in the league. They've been banged up a lot this year. They have a great scheme. But again, people like to make this Swift to Kamara comps a lot. And I think Kamara behind a not so good offensive line with a quarterback in Jameis Winston who does not pose a threat through the air, we've seen them really focus in on Alvin Kamara, and it makes his job a lot more difficult, and he's not playing well on the ground. So you think about, you take the good team out of it, the good defense out of it, the complete threat of the run, and a worse offensive line. I think that's how you kind of end up in DeAndre Swift land, where there's not a whole lot he can do. And again, I'm not comparing him to Alvin Kamara as a tackle breaker. Just, I'm looking at the two situations, and I think there's a better alternative. Maybe he's not the best runner of the football, but I think he's better than what he's showing right now.
Yeah, man. So do I. I mean, I'm not concerned, but I'm also not covering my eyes and ignoring the fact that he's been atrocious on the ground this season. You know, I'm over here looking at the updated MVP odds, Jay. Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott, your top three leaders for NFL MVP. And right now, Josh Allen is in the clear front runner, plus 375. Kyler Murray, plus 400. And then Dak Prescott at plus 500. Tom Brady, plus 725. So we got about half a season left. I mean, can Dak... I think Dak's got a better chance than we probably gave him credit for. I mean, we kept pegging him in to comeback player of the year, which I think is a foregone conclusion that he's going to win that award. But the way the Cowboys are playing right now, why not Dak for NFL MVP? You know what I'm saying? Like, why not? I mean, why not? Why not?
So I agree with you from a why not perspective, but the reason why you bet Josh Allen is because he plays in the AFC, and that's why he's probably going to win, is because he doesn't have to deal with the Rams, he doesn't have to deal with the Bucks. So, but to your point, if Kyler Murray wins the NFC, if Tom Brady wins the NFC, if Dak Prescott wins the NFC, and even if Matthew Stafford wins the NFC, one of those guys has a good shot at winning MVP. But they still have to beat out Josh Allen, who could finish the season like 14-2, first round bye.
He's going to win the MVP this year.
Crazy stats. You know, like he could finish the season with 30 passing touchdowns and 10 rushing touchdowns, 500 yards, 4,500. Like, I don't even know what his stats are pacing for right now, but they're going to be insanely high because of how good he's been playing. And I don't even think he's hot yet. Like, I know that I personally was disparaging him a few weeks ago because his red zone play has been terrible. But if he actually gets hot, like, I don't know how many touchdowns Stephon Diggs has, but I think he only has like one or two. And he scored one of his, I think he scored one this week. He has 2 touchdowns, or he has 3 touchdowns. He scored one in back-to-back weeks now. So if you like Stephon Diggs to score a touchdown, maybe it's time to start betting him. But I don't think Josh Allen's cooking yet. I really don't. Stephon Diggs has only 100-yard game this season. Maybe defenses kind of figured him out. But I don't know, man. I don't think the Bills are fully going yet. And once they do, Josh Allen's case is only going to get better and better for MVP. And that's why I wanted him this year as my MVP, because I think he deserved it last year.
Did you put any action on it? Did you put any action on it?
No, I didn't.
I did. I got him at plus 900. I got him at plus 900.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up with Vlad? Who won the AL MVP? I got my Vlad Guerrero bet out there. When are they going to announce that?
Doesn't come out till after the World Series, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Is Vlad Guerrero going to win that? I just need to see if
it's your boy, Shohei.
All right.
Shohei's going to
win. All right. Real quick before we get out of here, the last sort of thought, and we got to touch on one of the most divisive players in the football world right now. Who do you think it is? It's a quarterback. Who do you think it is?
I hope it's Carson Wentz, because did you see Pat McAfee's rant about it yesterday?
No, it's not Carson. God. No, it's not. We only got a few minutes. Who is it? It's not Carson Wentz. Most divisive player. People don't know what to do.
Mac Jones?
No, man. I think Mac Jones is pretty solidified at this point. I mean, if anybody is still doubting Mac Jones, I wouldn't pay for that service or I wouldn't listen to that individual. It's Jalen Hurts. Where are you at midway through the season? Where are you at with Jalen Hurts?
I hate to do it to Jalen because I like him a lot, but man, he just doesn't look good. Like, I know that you talk about how Sirianni's going to be, like, Sirianni's not doing him any favors at all, but is he in a perfect storm still worth it? Like, I don't know. He's a good quarterback. He showed it 4 years in college. He's accurate, but every time I see him play, he drops back, runs the read option, rolls out to the right, throws into the stands. And it's a little bit too frequent to where I'm like, is this all Sirianni? But the real wasted talent in the NFL is Devonta Smith. I mean, come on. The dude just doesn't do anything out there. But I think, to your point, Hurts is fine. I don't think he's a long-term solution, though.
Long-term solution in Philly or long-term solution, period? I want to
go as far to say period. I really do.
I don't think Philly wants him. I think it's pretty clear.
Oh, no.
I don't think they want him. I think they think there are better options out there, and if they do, then kudos to him. If a team trades for him or signs him or whatever, I guess it'd have to be a trade. They're going to want him, and they're going to build an offense around him, and I think he'll be fine. Nobody's going to be good. Dude, the wide receivers, we talked about this. They caught 4 passes on Sunday. He threw the ball 14 times. That's it, and they won. he's not going to be the quarterback of Philadelphia next year. He's not. I would love to see him. I think Pittsburgh would be an awesome spot for him to go to. I think Pittsburgh would be a good spot for him to land in. I'm seeing the Saints. I don't think that would be good. I don't think New Orleans would be good. I really like Pittsburgh as a landing spot for Jalen Hurts, and I think he'd be fine. It's just the Eagles don't want him. The Eagles don't want him, and it's clear. They only let him throw the ball 14 times. And to your point, I mean, Devonta Smith, Quez Watkins, all of those guys, I mean, they're damn near unstartable because they're just not going to see the volume. Like, he's just not going to throw to him. He's not going to throw to him. See, here's a bet. Rest of the season, will Jalen Hurts attempt more than 35 pass attempts in a game? Rest of the season.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
you think so?
Yeah,
okay.
I think so. They'll be down in at least one game, and
Nick Chubb still hasn't gotten his 25 carries yet. You know that's a running joke in the show. Nick Chubb still hasn't gotten his 25 carries yet.
Crazy, man. But
Crazy.
Kareem Hunt is really good. Kareem Hunt's really good.
Kareem Hunt ain't been there in a couple weeks, and he still hasn't gotten it. So, yeah. Well, that's it. That's it for Week 8 of the NFL season. We will start to look ahead into Week 9 starting tomorrow. College football getting closer and closer. College football playoffs come out tonight. My predictions for the college football playoffs. Where's my notes at? My predictions, number 1, Georgia. Number 2, Cincinnati. Number 3 will be Alabama. And 4 will be Oklahoma. 5th, Ohio State. And right outside at 6 will be Michigan State. That is my prediction for the top 4 in the college football playoffs. Alabama, they have to keep Alabama at 3. That way, if they lose to Georgia in a tight matchup, they can maybe potentially keep them inside that top 4. They don't want to miss out on that Tuscaloosa Roll Tide money. But that's my prediction tonight for the college football playoffs. We'll see. We will see. What are your thoughts, Jay? Is that the top 4?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I'm curious what they do with Cincinnati if they do give them respective 2.
I thought about that too. I thought
the
that
committee
too.
usually does early. They usually do early, but then towards the end, the disrespect starts to come in. They're like, we can't do that. And they start to bump the Power 5 schools up. But I think for now, you're right.
I thought that too. I was wondering, that's going to be the interesting one. If they put Cincinnati at 2 or if they bump Alabama or potentially Oklahoma up to number 2 and make Cincinnati 3 or 4. That's the wild card, but I think it's going to be chalk. I think it's Georgia, Cincinnati, Alabama, Oklahoma, with Ohio State, Michigan State right on the outside with the anticipation. I mean, one of those teams will lose, and then if Alabama does, in fact, lose to Georgia in the SEC title game, that will bump them out, put that Big Ten team in, and there's your top 4. But we'll see. We'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll talk about NFL, college football, NBA, all that great stuff. We appreciate y'all tapping in. Y'all have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. We out. Peace.